Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Open University.
Namaskar friends, welcome to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Today we are going to learn about the Bluest eye, which forms the part of your Bachelor of Arts English Literature syllabus. It's paper number 5 SYBA, a study of novel. It consists of unit number 15, 16 and 17. So today we are going to learn about the literary form novel, the concept of discrimination, African American literature. We are going to learn something about the author Toni Morrison, about the novel The Bluest Eye. Then you will have some self-assessment questions and I'll be giving you some links for further reading. Now as you know friends, literature is made up of various forms like novel, poetry, drama, novella, short stories, etc. Usually a novel is a long work of narrative fiction written in prose form. It is narrated, it is mostly fictional work, that is lesser elements of autobiographies, autobiographical elements are few, and it is written in prose form. Loosely we can describe prose form with, you can differentiate that prose is something which is not poetry. This is a very loose definition. Prose does not include metrical patterns, for example. Now when we come to English literature, Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe and Samuel Richardson's Pamela or Virtue Rewarded are considered to be the very first novels, or these are the novels we can say that with these novels began the era of English novels in British literature. Now a novel is formed of various components. There are certain ingredients. If we find that, we can call novel. Those are characters, setting, plot, narrative style, themes, symbolism, motifs, etc. Now we come to the types of novels. Novels are of various types. You can recognize the type of a novel from its major themes. Historical novel usually talks about social condition of a particular age, the mannerisms and the characteristics of a particular place and a particular period or age. War and Peace or Waverley, for example, by Walter Scott are the novels, are the examples of the historical novel. Picaresque novels are about a hero, a rogue who belongs to the low social class, and then he finds his way out in the corrupt society, is the example of a picaresque novel. So we have the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Now we come to Bildungsroman. Roman. Bildungsroman is a novel which deals with the main character's formative years and his mental growth and psychological growth. So we have Jane Eyre as a Bildungsroman novel. Sentimental novel deals with the emotional and intellectual concepts of sentiments. The Vicar of Wakefield is an example of this sentimental novel. Gothic novels are again interesting. They deal with ghosts, vampire, haunted castles. So Wuthering Heights can be one example. Epistolary novels are written in a series of documents, or mostly are written in form of letters. So we have Alice Walker's The Color Purple as epistolary novel. Even Richardson's Pamela is an epistolary novel. Detective, as the name suggests. So we have the example, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. It is very famous, detective novels. Romantic novels are again Jane Austen's Emma and Pride and Prejudice are romantic novels. Now we come to the, before we come to the core of the Bluest Eye, it is very important for you to know the concept of discrimination, how it all actually starts. So the unjust or biased treatment of different categories of people basis on race, their class, caste or gender. So on basis of these criterias, when you receive unjust, prejudiced or biased treatment from other people, then you are discriminated. Now the concept of untouchability, which existed in India, is the Dalits, the scheduled caste they were considered to be untouchables. Now, the concept untouchability does not only relate to that, okay, you cannot touch this person, but it goes beyond that, because it produces an averse situation, mental state in the people who suffer from that. Anti-Semitism, we all know that Jews were Holocaust, and there was this racial and ethnic discrimination. So around 60 lakhs of Jews were Holocaust due to this anti-Semitism phenomenon. Now we come to the racial segregation. Segregation means differentiation, not including, not considering someone as equal to you. Now this existed in Americas in the early 18th to 19th century, even before that. Again, segregation or discrimination due to race and ethnicity led to racial segregation in Americas. You must know the hierarchy, the pyramid of the hierarchy, and the white man is placed at the top of the pyramid, then comes the white woman, then comes the black man, and then comes at the bottom of the pyramid is black woman. So you can from this you can understand the situation of black women and how they suffer. Now we come to African American literature, but before that, a brief history that how it all began. Now whites considered themselves to be superior, as a superior human being, superior race, and they considered themselves to be civilized. Anyone darker than them, that is, if the skin complexion is darker, then they are considered to be naturally inferior race, they are considered to be primitive and uncivilized, that is someone who needs grooming and someone who is not up to the mark. The Middle Passage is a very important aspect in the history of African American countries. The Middle Passage, an estimated of 107 lakhs Africans were forcefully transported from Africas to Americas for slaveries, to work in, to make these people work in the plantations. And due to these sufferings, the slave narratives emerged. The emergence of slave narratives, we can say that it was an human urge for freedom and freedom of expression. Now we come to Harlem Renaissance. In the 1920s and 1930s, there was a kind of awakening, and an artistic circle, intellectual artistic circle existed in Harlem, because many of them migrated from South America to the North America for betterment, for industrial purposes and all that. So Harlem Renaissance is actually considered to be the awakening, and the waves were created for blacks, that they started speaking for their own rights. Now we come to Black is Beautiful or Black Arts Movement. This slogan became very famous. Black is Beautiful became very famous during 1960s, and during this time black women started writing their works, and they were truly instrumental in bringing the concepts, the issues, the concerns related to black women into the limelight. Now we come to African American women's writing in 1970s. Three important works by black women, African American women, were published during in the year 1970. The first one is the novel of our concern, The Bluest Eye, by Toni Morrison, was published in 1970. Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings was published in 1970, and also The Third Life of Grange Copeland by Alice Walker was published in 1970, and one more anthology, The Black Woman by Toni Bambara, was also published in 1970s. So 1970 was a very important year in the African American literature and African American women's writing. Now we come to the author Toni Morrison. You can see in the picture, she looks like this. She is an African American woman born in 1931. Ohio is a Midwestern USA state. She is a professor of humanities. She is a novelist, essayist and editor. She has been an editor at Random House, where in this capacity she was responsible to bring more and more works of black authors, African American authors into limelight. She has been the first African American woman to win Nobel Prize in Literature in 1993. For her novel Beloved, she has won the Pulitzer Prize in 1988. The former president of USA, Barack Obama, presented her with the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2012. She has also been awarded the Penn Award for Achievement in American Fiction in 2016. She has been an author of 11 novels, The Bluest Eye, the first in the installment. Sula is the second novel, 1973, Song of Solomon, 1977, Beloved in 1987, which is her most acclaimed work, and the last novel till now has been God Help the Child in 2015. Now we come to the reception of novel, how the novel was received when it was first published. When it was first published in 1970, it received minimal critical attention. It was banned from schools' curriculum syllabus due to some obvious reasons of its content. The Bluest Eye also appeared as the 15th out of a list of 100 most challenged books in the recent decade by American Library Association. By the end of 1970, a positive review was written by the New York Times, and later on it was placed as reference book for black studies departments in universities. Then critics started noticing her work. Euro-American critics concentrated on her, criticized her work by saying that it was very loosely written, the language was very basic and all that, whereas African American critics related to her work because it was their story. They could relate to it very well, and they concentrated on the characters and the development of the story and the depiction of the novel. So that was a positive turning point for this novel. It was later on praised for writing about the colonization of mind, that how colonization actually takes place, not only physically but mentally also, psychologically also. The novel was later on adapted as plays to be performed in the on the stage in New York several times. Now we come to the novel Bluest Eye, and I would like you to draw your attention on this thing and see if you can read it. Moving forward, try reading this. I would like to read it for you as well. Here is the house. It is green and white. It has a red door. It is very pretty. Here is the family. Mother, father, Dick and Jane live in the green and white house. They are very happy. Now friends, this is a primer used in American schools. Nursery children are taught, the very first communication that happens through nursery children is through primers. They are taught language through these primers. Indian equivalent we can find in nursery rhymes. So what is nursery rhymes? Children are for the first time taught any language. So this is the primer used in American schools, in white and black schools as well. So it portrays a very happy picture that there is one house which is green and white in color. It has a red door, so it a fantasy type house. It is very pretty. Here is the perfect family, mother, father, Dick and Jane. So you have mother, you have father, you have brother, and Jane is the main person, live in the green and white house, and they are very happy. But here, if you have noticed till now, the same thing is written, but there is no punctuation. There are no punctuation marks, no capitals, no spaces, everything is crammed. So you get a feeling of confusion, anxiousness and incoherence. You cannot decipher what is written. So welcome to the world of The Bluest Eye. Here is the picture of, you can picturize Pecola, the main character of the novel, and here is a white doll with blonde or yellow hair, blue eyes and white skin, red lips. Perfect. Now we come to the novel, the cover page of the novel, Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. You can see a black girl of African American descent, and she is not very pretty when you compare her to the white doll. She has blue eyes. So this phenomenon is going to develop later on in our presentation. We come to the setting and plot of the novel. The Bluest Eye is set in Ohio, the hometown of Toni Morrison. She has taken the same place because she is familiar with that, and she can develop her story very well, her characters very well. After the Great Depression in 1940, so 1929 to 1939 are the years of Great Depression that America faced. She is writing this novel in 65-69, published in 1970, but the novel is set in the year 1940. So the black people have started migrating towards north for their livelihood and for better opportunities that lie in the north. In this scenario, there is a black, poor, young girl. Due to her mannerisms and dark skin, she is regarded as ugly, and due to that, she develops an inferiority complex in her psyche. She has a disturbed home life, she has abusive parents, and she is badly treated by the community as well. She is ill-treated at home, as well as her classmates ill-treat her, and the community also treat her badly. She wishes for blue eyes because that is the feature will make her equal to the whites, and she considers blue eyes to be panacea. Panacea is something, is a solution or remedy to a disease. She considers that being black, being ugly is not natural, it's a disease which needs to be cured, and so she wishes to have blue eyes, which is not possible, which is illogical, but that's her wish. She is a young girl. She is raped by her father, she is impregnated by her father, her baby dies, and eventually she succumbs to insanity and is treated as a pariah, an outcast by her own community. Now we come to the major characters of the novel. The protagonist, you can call her main character or protagonist, though she does not acquire the qualities of protagonist because she is most of the times passive, she is not strong-minded, her grooming is not perfect, she does not get perfect values, a perfect home environment that can lead to her mental and psychological development. But that was the main aim of the author when she developed the character of Piccola. Piccola Breedlove is a protagonist, 11 years old, black girl. She is lonely and suffers passively. She suffers the abuse of parents and classmates and believes herself to be ugly and wishes to have blue eyes. On the other hand, Claudia McTeer is Piccola's friend. She is 9 years old, but she is strong-minded. She is against the white beauty standards. Remember the white doll that we saw? Claudia McTeer is also an African American, but she hates the white dolls that are given to her as gifts, as Christmas gifts. And there is one incident in the novel where Claudia tears the doll apart because she thinks that what it is that exists in the doll but not in me, why I am ugly, why I am not beautiful, and why this doll is beautiful just because she has white skin, blonde hair and blue eyes. We come to Frida McTeer. She is Claudia's sister, 10 years old, and seen to defend both Piccola and Claudia. Now, three major characters, three of them are African Americans, all the three girls and very young girls. So this provides a platform that how the story is going to develop. Charlie Breedlove is Piccola's father, who in his young age, when he was in adolescence, he was humiliated by the whites, and that has made an impact, a negative impact on his mind, and he's frustrated, he's violent, he rapes his daughter Piccola, and he's dangerously free. So he does not fit the normal category of a father. A father is assumed to protect the children, but here something happens that is totally inhuman, if we can say that the father rapes her daughter. Now we come to Pauline Breedlove. Pauline or Polly Breedlove is Piccola's mother. She works for a well-to-do white family and she considers herself to be ugly. Now you get the picture how it all comes down, that the father and the mother, who are considered to be the pillars of support for children, they are responsible for grooming, but here they are too devastated to groom their child. So Pauline Breedlove thinks that she is ugly. She is fascinated by romantic movies and white-skinned heroines, and she has herself said to Piccola that you are ugly, and Piccola has believed that, oh, I am ugly, I cannot do anything about it unless and until I get blue eyes for myself. Now we come to Soaphead Church. He is a fake mystic. A mystic is someone who communicates, who claims to communicate directly with God. He harms Piccola, but how? We'll come to it later. Now we come to the structure and narrative style of the novel. The novel is divided into 4 parts: autumn, winter, spring and summer. As the name suggests, the events in the novel are totally opposite. They do not take place as per the season. Autumn is considered to be a season of harvest, but unfortunately that is the season in which Piccola's baby dies. Spring is considered to be the season of rebirth, rejuvenation, but ironically that is the season where Claudia remembers of being whipped by her mother, and Piccola gets raped in this season. Now we come to the narrators. There are 3 narrators. 2 of them are the voices of Claudia when she is a child and when she grows up. 2 voices of Claudia. So this novel is narrated by a 9-year-old. So we have children's point of view in mind. She focuses on key events of Piccola's life and also on the past events that are unrolling before her eyes. So novel juggles between the past and the present events narrated by Claudia. Now we come to an omniscient narrator. There is a voice, a third person narrator who is an all-knowing entity, and where the child Claudia misses out, of course she is a child and she cannot know all the things that are happening around her, so that are sufficed by the omniscient narrator. Further, the events also are not presented chronologically, instead they are linked by the voices and memories of the 2 narrators. The novel is also full of black musical traditions like spirituals, blues, jazz, you have songs in it, etc. It is full of black vernacular, which is a dialect, phrases and idioms which are peculiar to African American country, background and people. The novel is coming of age. You can say it's a coming of age novel because it deals with a child and how she grows up to be, and it has a tragic ending, we can say that. This one is interesting. It is anti-Bildungsroman. Bildungsroman, we know that it's about a main character who develops gradually from young age to adulthood, and the moral values and psychological growth is also shown of the character. But here we call this novel anti-Bildungsroman because the main characters, yes, of course it deals with the formative years, but the psychological state deteriorates, it does not enhance, we can say that. So we call this novel a Bildungsroman. Now we come to the themes. Themes are the main ideas that pervades the whole work. The physical beauty, whiteness as the beauty standard. White skin, blue eyes, blonde hair are considered necessary features that define beauty. If you do not have this, then oh, you are ugly, nothing can happen to you, God help you. That was the scenario that existed in America of 16th to 19th century. Racism is also an important theme. I would like to read this quote. If you are white, you are right. If you are brown, you can stick around. If you are black, get back. This quote is by Calvin Hunter in his 1965 work on sex and racism in America. So this says a lot that you have all the rights just because you are white. You cannot be wrong. You are the powerful entity. If you are brown, okay, you can be somewhere around. Something can happen to you. But if you are black skinned, nothing can happen to you. What you have to be dictated. You don't have your own mind, you don't have your own soul, you don't have your own body. Everything is controlled, is governed, is dictated by the whites. Now we come to identity crisis. There is a kind of confusion, uncertainty, insecurity regarding one's being. As we know, Piccola is the tragic, sympathetic one who has identity crisis from her childhood. Oppression of women is also shown in the novel because women go through sexual abuse. Piccola is abused, even Frida is abused, she is molested by a man. Hostility of black community. Black community is hostile, is indifferent, is not sensitive towards these girls. So intra-racial segregation also comes into place. So in blacks also, if you are slightly lighter complexioned, then you feel that, oh, the darker one is to be governed by you. So that is the theme. These are the themes that exist in the novel. We come to the motifs and symbols. Motifs are the literary devices that define the theme for us, and symbols are the objects or things that define the abstract concepts for us. So here seasons, as we have learnt earlier, the events and happenings of the characters do not match the usual characteristics of seasons. Vision is an important motive because Piccola thinks that if she gets blue eyes, it will change the way she is looked at by the world, and it will also change the way she looks at the world. She will be conforming to the main white groups if she get the blue eyes. Scapegoat is a symbol used here. Piccola is a scapegoat for black community. Scapegoat is someone who is blamed for others' wrongdoings, others' mistakes, others' faults, because they know that Piccola is passive, she is not going to react, she is going to take your dirt. So the black community feels clean by shifting their dirt, their frustration, their violence on Piccola. Bluest eye is the imagery, it's a symbol, it's a motif that is pervading the whole work, because the title also says, is of the same name. Pretty eyes, pretty blue eyes, big blue pretty eyes, blue sky eyes, morning glory blue eyes, Alice and Jerry blue storybook eyes. This is the prayer that Piccola makes every night to get the blue eyes, and you know why now. Marigolds are associated, these flowers are associated with the safety and well-being of Piccola's baby. No one wants Piccola's baby to live because, she has been raped by her father. Piccola's father and her baby's father is the same man. So the black community dislikes her, hates her, no one wishes her baby to live. But Frida and Claudia are exceptions. They pray for Piccola's baby to live just because her baby can counteract the universal values that are imposed on them by the white Americans. We come to the title and conclusion. The Bluest Eye, EYEI, and the I pronoun are the homophones, and the title creates a kind of a pun. The bluest eye, we know what it means, and I is also bluest. The color, we refer bluest color also to the wounds that turn blue. You have bruises, it's red and then it gradually turns blue, so you are hurt, you are very much hurt. And bluest eye is, Piccola is also the bluest eye, the saddest eye, because she is hurt, she feels hurt by the community and by the parents. Neither her mother looked at her nor did the black community, and the damage done was total. Now comes the character of Soaphead Church. Soaphead Church, as I have told you, is a mystic. He claims to have direct communication with God, and Piccola goes to him and asks him for blue eyes. She feels that he will grant his wish to get blue eyes. What he does is, he gives a piece of meat to Piccola and asks her to feed it to the dog. Now the dog is disliked by Soaphead Church, so he does a trick here. He poisons the meat, he uses Piccola to kill the dog, and he has promised that if something happens to the dog, believe that you have got blue eyes. The meat is of course poisoned. Piccola feeds the meat to the dog and dog dies, and this event triggers a kind of mental decline, because Piccola now thinks that she has actually got blue eyes. And when the community is avoiding her, she feels that, oh, they are jealous because I have got blue eyes, they are not looking at me. And mind you, when Piccola complains about her father's rape on her, her mother, Piccola's mother, Pauline Breedlove, she beats her. She is not ready to believe, or even if she believes, she is not ready to take any step. So everyone ignores her, and the damage done was total, because Piccola is seen walking up and down, flinging her hands like a bird, and she jerks her head on the sound of a drum which is so distant that only she can hear. So these lines suggest that Piccola has lost her usual mental stability. She succumbs to insanity, and this brings out a tragic end to the story. What is the relevance of the novel? Morrison wrote this novel. Of course, it deals with black women, black girls, but she has clearly said that it does not her works are not to be termed as only feminist work, because she believes in equal existence of men and women in the society. And the purpose of the work is to make a statement about the damage that racism creates in people's minds. And in today's time also, I would like to mention that this discrimination exists, only the change has occurred in the degrees or the forms of discrimination, but it does exist when we look around us. These are some of the questions that you can have a look. You can do a kind of self-assessment exercise for yourself. Also, you can take one question where you can write down your experiences or your friends' experiences. You can discuss with them. You have come across something which can be called an unjust behavior, discriminatory behavior, or prejudiced behavior. So these are the questions. These are the web resources, the links which you can follow. The first link will lead you to the original text of The Bluest Eye. I would recommend you to read it. And the other are the critical readings of the novel. So thank you, friends. I hope you have been acquainted with the work The Bluest Eye, and you will read it for further references. Thank you. Goodbye until next time.